This is a podcast about one woman's mission to help entrepreneurs and business owners write better business books. Each week, we tackle your writing excuses, because there are excuses too, and help you beat the blank page of doom so that you can write the book that'll grow your life and your business. Now here's your host, Vicky Fraser.
Hello and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show.
Hello.
I'm Vicky Quinn and this is my husband, Joe Fraser.
I went early, didn't I? Hello.
That's okay. Don't worry. Are you flustered by your hair?
I am. I'm mesmerised by its magnificence.
Should I... Do we need you to stop looking at yourself?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just going to...
Look at the blinking green light up there, look.
No, because just below it is my hair.
Joe has got Krisenfrisur. That's a terrible German accent.
It was kind of French and German.
Krisenfrisur. I don't speak German.
Okay, lockdown hair.
Crisis hair.
Crisis hair.
Yeah.
Bad.
Yes.
I don't like it.
I think it's adorable. Hi, hello, and welcome to the 1000 Authors Show. This week we're talking about the 5 reasons that writers don't write. We've probably covered that before in some form or another, but I'm doing it again.
Cool.
Because it's important.
All right.
Yeah. So, but before that, Joe, what are you reading?
Who knows? Because the notes aren't on this screen; they're on a different screen over here somewhere.
Yeah, but you know what you're reading, right?
Yeah, but who's it by?
Richard Powers.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, I'm reading Overstory by Richard Powers.
Is it good?
Yeah, I'm only a couple of chapters in, but it's touted as a novel, but at the moment it kind of feels like connected short stories.
Well, maybe it is.
Maybe it'll all get tied together at some point.
Yeah. It's been in my pile of books to read for ages, and then Joe picked it up and started reading it.
It's like Pulitzer Prize winners and all sorts.
Yeah.
So it's good, it's nice.
It's fancy. Can you hear this bullshit, by the way?
This fan bullshit.
Yeah, I'm hoping that by the time you actually listen to this podcast, listeners will be like, what? What bullshit? Because Podfly will probably have removed it because they're good at that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But we're recording this on my old MacBook Pro, which is ancient in MacBook terms. It's about 8 years old. And it's finally started to die. Not least one of the reasons is because it's making this bullshit noise. And I have now got sitting down next to it my brand new MacBook Pro with the M1 chip. And it's just a delight to use. And it doesn't crash every half hour, which is really cool. However,
it doesn't have any USB ports, so it can't run the microphone. And it only has 2 ports, one of which is used for power.
You don't have to use it for power all the time. But I've got an adapter on its way, which will fix that. Joe doesn't like
So you're going to be able to plug in the screen or the microphone?
No, the screen. Oh, okay, Joe doesn't like Macs.
2 sockets, mate. It's for people with beards to use in coffee shops and nothing else.
Well, I don't have a beard and I'm not allowed to go to coffee shops at the moment. Anyway, I'm reading at the moment Thief of Time by Terry Pratchett. Again, I think it's only the second time I've read this one, actually. Really enjoying it. It's funny, like all of Terry Pratchett's books, and it's thoughtful and all the rest of it. And I'm also just starting to read, Prisoners of Geography by Tim Marshall, which looks really interesting. And it's all about looking at politics through the lens of geography.
I bet there's a chapter on Afghanistan.
Of course there will be. And, maybe there'll be a chapter. Maybe he'll do a futuristic version of why the UK has dealt so fucking badly with the COVID crisis, despite being an island. We're an island. Anyway, so yes, I'm reading Prisoners of Geography, and I'm about to start reading it. I'm very much looking forward to it. Next week, I'm sure I will have more to say about it. Mm-hmm. But this week at the Dingle...
Check notes.
This week at the Dingle, all sorts has been happening. There has been excitement in the greenhouse. All of my seeds are in, like hundreds of them. My tomatoes are coming up.
So halfway through last year, Vicky was saying, we don't need this many tomatoes. There's not enough space in the greenhouse. It's too full. I can't get to everything. It's difficult watering them because there's tomato plants in the way. It's like a jungle of tomato plants. We need fewer tomato plants next year. So what's she done? Planted more tomato plants this year.
You don't know how many are going to survive.
And how many are you going to kill if we get them all come up?
Well, I'm going to give some away because people always want tomato plants. And then also I'm going to put them outside this year because my outside ones did pretty well last year. So I'm going to have indoor ones and outdoor ones.
Watch this space. A couple of months. Won't be able to get into the greenhouse.
I've also got a couple of new houseplants, which is very exciting. And if you want to see my new houseplants, you can check out my Instagram at Tiny Beetle Steps or at Tree Frog Toe.
So Vicky has basically discovered a new thing, which is buying houseplants faster than she can kill them.
I haven't killed any of my houseplants yet, but they're scientifically proven to make you happier and healthier. Like physically healthier and mentally healthier.
So this time next year, we won't be able to move in the house either.
It's going to be great. We'll have a really nice bathroom by then, which I'm going to turn into a jungle. Mm-hmm. It's going to be fab. So yeah, we've also got a boiler and hot water and one radiator, which is great.
Holy shit balls. It's like a whole new world.
I feel like we're cheating.
Can turn the heating on with my phone and everything.
I know we've got it's called Hive. Everybody knows what this is. We don't because we've never had heating before. But it's called Hive and it's technology that makes your heating work. It's really clever. Everyone's like, yes. Yeah. We're like, we don't have to set fire or anything to have heat anymore.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah,
it's been a bit of we've only got one radiator because there's not much point putting radiators everywhere else yet because we're pulling out walls and damaging stuff and pulling up floors and moving everything around. So there's no point putting radiators anywhere else.
No.
So we've only got one radiator downstairs.
But it makes the whole downstairs warm.
Makes the whole downstairs kind of.
Well, that one room.
Above zero, which is novel.
Yes. It's good. Yeah, so that's the updates and what we're reading at the moment. And now on to the main feature of
Checks notes.
of this week's. You're not helping. You're not helping with the seamless and professional delivery.
Okay. Sorry.
Now you've completely derailed my very shaky thought process. Okay. It's already shaky.
Crack on.
The 5 reasons writers don't write.
Would you like me to hold it here?
Yes. No. So yeah, the problem. Okay, so the thing that people tell me. What do you think the thing that people tell me most often?
Haven't got time.
Yes. Haven't got time to write a book.
Got the same amount of time as everybody else.
Yeah, but I'm not being a dick about this, right? I know that some people are super, super busy, and I know some people who are super, super busy, who are in my team Moxie and all the rest of it, and they are ludicrously busy, and I literally don't know how they do it. But I also know that we make time for the things that are important to us, right?
Feeding your children, for example.
Oh, yeah.
Should make time for that.
Spending time with your partner. Spending time with just yourself and just chilling out with, a bubble bath or an amazing vibrator or something. I don't care. But yeah, spend your time on important things. That's cool. But also, it leads me to ask people, okay, so yeah, you want to write a book, but how important is it to you to write a book? Because if it's not a priority, if it's not the priority when it comes to things that you're doing for your business, it's not going to happen because for the reason that we make time for things that are important to us. It's why I can't play the guitar. It's why I can only strum a few chords on the guitar. It just wasn't important to me enough to put the time into it. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with that. I am absolutely not throwing shade on people who are like, I haven't got time and they're not making time and that's cool. But what I've actually found, this is the interesting thing, is that when I talk to people, time has got nothing to do with it. It's like you said, everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day and all the rest of it. Some of us are more busy than others. But actually, when I talk to people in a little bit more depth than just, why haven't you written a book yet? They'll start off by saying, I haven't got time. Time's never the problem. And it's really always a really interesting conversation. So I just wanted to run through the 5 main reasons that people don't write books that are buried underneath that excuse of I don't have time. Because, we all do it, right? What my go-to reason for not doing things is, I haven't got time.
Very busy.
Very busy.
No time.
But that is true. I am busy. But that's not why I don't do the thing. I don't do it for another reason. Sometimes it's just that I don't want to. But what comes out of my face is I haven't got time. Other times it's like, I don't know how, or all of that kind of thing. And then that leads on to the 5 reasons why people are not writing their books. Despite what they might think. Despite that they might think that went well.
Reason the 1.
Yeah, reason the 1. Okay, reason the 1.
Checks notes.
Clarity. So one of the most common reasons, once we dig into the whole I haven't got time thing, is a complete lack of clarity on what they want to write. They know they want to write a book and they're really keen on it. And they're just like, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to write a book for my business. I'm going to get this done. And it's going to feel really good. And they're right about all of those things. And then they sit down. They're like, I have not got time to do this. I don't know where to start. And the reason that they have not got time and don't know where to start is because they haven't really got a fully clear idea of what they want to write about. Mm-hmm. So they might be like, oh, I want to write about, say, grass, flowers. That's really broad. That's a really broad topic. Okay, so what about flowers? What about flowers do you want to write about? And it might be, I want to write about daffodils, all the many species of daffodils and what you can do with them and how you can grow them. So, okay, that's getting a bit closer. So, yeah, we need to narrow it down. We need to get clarity on the idea and think about why we're writing, who we're writing for, where we want people, where we want to take people with the book, basically. And as soon as we get all of that nailed down, suddenly we find that we do have enough time to write the book and we can actually sit down and start because we know what we're doing. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Cool. Reason the second. People wait for inspiration. People wait for motivation before they can take action. I need to be inspired before I can write my book. I need motivation to be able to do so. That's not how this works. And
those are not external things that are going to happen.
No. And yeah, okay, sometimes I'm not saying that you don't get ideas from outside. Of course you do. Everybody gets ideas from outside. But if you're waiting for that flash of inspiration that's going to hit you like a bolt of lightning and have you sitting down and going, oh my God, this is so great. I'm just words are pouring out of my head. That's not how it works. For 99.9% of writers, that is not how it works. And certainly for the non-fiction writers I've worked with. And there's this belief that we can't start until we've had this flash of inspiration.
This Damascene moment.
Yeah. And it's just unrealistic. It's romantic bollocks. And I'll come back to romantic bollocks in a minute on a bit of a tangent. But yeah, that's not how it works. So how it works is action causes inspiration, causes motivation, causes more action. Inspiration, motivation, action, inspiration. That's the order of it. That's how it works. And anybody who has ever procrastinated on a job that they didn't want to do knows the truth of this, because as soon as you drag yourself off the sofa and start, you feel really good, right? And it's all of the stuff that we've done in the house.
Yeah.
I don't want to go and do this thing that we have to do.
Just start doing that thing. Give it half an hour and suddenly you're
really motivated.
Cracking on with it.
Yeah. And it feels really good because you're doing something. And that is the way it works. And if you can embed that idea that action has to come first into your head, everything becomes a bit easier. And it's really, really important. So yeah, that's the second reason. The third reason people don't write their book is they think that they have to make this giant grand gesture. Yeah. And it has to be, okay, I need to go away for, I need to go away for a week, say to the sparkling coast of Turkey to write my book. Don't know anyone who's done that.
Yeah.
And this, I'm going to get my book written and blah, blah, blah. And that's not how it works either. I am living proof of that. And I'm also living proof that you can go away for a week and get a book written. But the first time I did it, I was like, I'm going to go away and that's going to be the thing that makes me write my book. But I didn't really know what I was writing about. I didn't really want to write that book at the time. I didn't really know why I was writing it. And so what I wrote was 2,500 words.
And then did some sightseeing.
And it was nice.
Nice.
But it was not what I went there for. And so, we think that we need it's grand gestures that are going to get your book written. No. What's going to get the book written, Joe?
Putting the work in. Putting time aside. Checks notes. Tiny beetle steps.
Yes. One of my favourite pieces of advice is just write 200 crappy words a day. Like, everyone can write 200 crappy words a day. They don't even have to be good words. 200 crappy words a day will turn into something awesome, because you'll invariably write more than 200 on most days anyway. And then they will get better and better. And then you can edit them. That's the wonderful thing about writing, is that we're not carving this in tablets of stone.
Yeah.
We're writing 200 crappy words a day. So just write a little bit every day. That's what will get it done. Yes, you can go away for a week. And I did. I went to Lanzarote with a few other writers, and we each got a massive chunk of our books done. Because we went, but that was the difference. I went away with people specifically for that purpose.
With people, with a plan, with a timeline.
Yeah.
Sit down and do the work.
And that was great. And I can thoroughly recommend that. And as soon as we're allowed to see people in person again, I will be running the writing retreats I have so desperately been wanting to run. I was going to launch those last year. Obviously that did not happen, but, probably not this year either. But 2022 is going to be the year of the Moxie Books writing retreats. And I cannot fucking wait. It's going to be brilliant. So that was reason 1, 2, 3. And then reason 4, actually, I think there's 4 reasons and then 1 tip. So, the fourth reason that I have this theory, right? I've been talking about this a lot over the last couple of days with Team Moxie. I have a theory that one of the reasons that we don't write our books, and women in particular, is that we're told that we're not allowed to be honest about stuff, or like there's an implication that we're not allowed to be honest about stuff. And this starts around the dinner table as kids, right? Oh, we're not talking about religion or politics around dinner. We're not talking about money. It's vulgar to talk about money. And there's so many problems with all of that stuff. And like, I'm kind of cross with that from my own childhood as well as from others. But it's that typical. It's like, oh, what is polite to discuss around the dinner table? It's like, fucking small talk. What? The world doesn't change if we ignore the important stuff. And if you can't have a discussion about politics or religion or race without having a flaming row, then there's something else going on there, you know? And the very idea of not talking about money because it's vulgar is designed to keep people in their places. And so, you know, we don't talk about money. It's like, really? Okay, I wonder if that's because there's maybe a gender pay gap or a race pay gap in companies, which of course there is. And so we're told that we're not supposed to talk about this stuff. We're not supposed to make a ruckus. We're not supposed to make a fuss. We're not supposed to cause a nuisance. And especially women, because we're supposed to be nice to people. And the idea is that we are, you know, we have to be polite and keep the peace and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. What if there's something wrong with the world and the peace needs to be shook up? Write that book. And I think part of the reason sometimes we don't write a book is we're like, oh, I've got this stuff to say, but, you know, what if it's going to offend people? And it goes even deeper than what if people are not going to like me? I mean, that is a reason. But there's that whole, what am I allowed to talk about? Well, I'm here to give you permission to talk about whatever the fuck you like. If you want to write about something and it's something important and it means something to you, write that book. Don't let society's rules about what we're supposed to talk about and what we're not supposed to talk about stop us. And it's really important. And it's something that I've got a whole entire beehive in my bonnet about at the moment. There's the tone policing of women. Tone policing of women in general, and particularly black women. Because we're told that we are angry and aggressive when we simply stand up and say something assertively, or something, sometimes even out loud. Mm-hmm. And this is, you've heard of the angry black woman trope, right? And Yinka gets accused of this all the time. She just, like, literally just opens her mouth to reply. It's like, angry black woman. And she's like, I'm not even angry. I'm not even raising my voice.
Yeah, we're talking about the thing you want to talk about.
Yeah, and it's like, I'm objecting to something. And there's the whole, oh, you know, you're getting really emotional because you're a woman, calm down. And it's like, actually, I was calm until you threw that bullshit at me. Now I'm angry. And I've decided as well that I'm going to be angry more often because, again, that's something that isn't really socially acceptable for women to be. We're not supposed to be angry and shrill and all the rest of it. And moody bitches and all of that kind of stuff. So maybe I shall rebrand. It's like book writing for moody bitches. That's what we shall. That's what we shall do. But yeah, so that was my force. I think is my theory as to why books sometimes don't get written, because we are afraid of rocking the boat. When frankly the boat needs rocking. The boat needs tipping right over and starting again. So write your book, even if it's going to, especially if it's going to piss people off. Because it's probably the people who are going to be pissed off are the ones that need to, you know, move along and make room for some new people. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. What do you think?
Yes.
Just yes.
Yes. Sex notes. Yes.
That's not on the notes.
Joe agrees.
That is not on the notes. Oh, do you think that, as a theory, do you think that is a reasonable thing?
I think it's reasonable, yeah. I think it's reasonable. I also think that, you know, democracy itself is based on being challenged. It needs to be challenged. If it's not challenged, then it's not democratic.
No.
You know, we need people to fight all sides of the argument.
I have so many thoughts about this. I think we're going to have to do an entire podcast on this alone, but a couple of things that have struck me, and I've got a couple of friends who are Russian, and they're very blunt, right? Very blunt, to the point of, to our Western sensibilities, almost sounds rude. And I know that some people do find them rude. And I read in a book the other day a theory that this is because in communist Russia, the most valuable currency was trust, and you had to know who you could trust and who you couldn't trust. So there was none of this like sugarcoating stuff that we do in the West. It's like, oh, being nice and, you know, keeping the peace and all the rest of it. People were really honest with each other about where they stand, where they were, and it came out of communism. And this was from a Russian person talking, and they were like, that was their theory on it. And so it comes across very blunt to the Western world. But actually all it is honesty. And the reason that we don't do that is because there's a couple of aspects to it. And one of them is that we believe that we're entitled to feel good all the time, and, hurting people's feelings or rejecting, rejection, that kind of thing it's hurtful. It's like, oh, it doesn't feel very good. And it's this belief that we're entitled to feel good all the time, which is unrealistic and unhealthy. Yeah. And so that's why we try really hard to be nice and not to rock the boat and not to make waves. And that fear of being attacked, which, by the way, is how the British media operate. That's, if you look at how they treat Meghan and Harry, for example, as soon as Meghan and Harry speak up about, the bullshit that they have to deal with, the media goes straight on the attack. And that is that entire dynamic in play. And I think that is part of the reason that certainly the white Western world finds it really, really difficult to deal with confrontation and argument and debate. And I've heard black people say the same thing as well, that they find it quite difficult to deal with white people because we just avoid the issue and we obfuscate, and there's this...
We don't say what we mean and we shuffle around it and we...
Yeah, and there's this need to always be liked, and I just found that really interesting because I was like, I know I do that because I've been conditioned to do so, and I really try hard to break out of it. Like, I don't want to deliberately upset or offend anybody, but I also don't think that people should be so easily upset or offended by the truth. And there's this,
Or put off saying what they mean.
Yeah. And, my Facebook feed is a really good example of this. The silence in the face of the Black Lives Matter movement from literally most of the people I know was very loud. And it was because nobody wants to make waves. Nobody wants to say something that might upset somebody or offend somebody. And that can't be the way. The world will not change that way, And that is how the status quo continues. And for a lot of, for most people, the status quo is working just fine. So why would they want to change it? And it does take an act of will, and not even courage, but just an act of will. And just say the thing that needs to be said. Rock the boat, It's like the people who are going to be the people. I think that old saying: the people who matter won't mind, and the people who mind don't matter. I don't know. Thoughts. Thoughts tumbling out of my head. But all of them relevant to writing books and the reasons that I do what I do, and why I want to be the place that people can come to with a book that wouldn't get published maybe by one of the other traditional white-owned publishing houses, because I know people who have had their books completely changed, have had them bought and completely changed and whitewashed to make them more palatable or whatever. I would never do that to a writer. And that's one of the reasons that I want to set up my publishing house and do what I want to do, because people need to be able to speak without being censored. They just do. And that's my mission, my aim. I will be a place for angry people who have every right to be angry and want to change the world for the better. So yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, if any of those things kind of have been, if you've ever said I don't have time, and then any of those things I've just said have maybe resonated a bit and made you think, oh, maybe it's not that I don't have time. Maybe I don't have clarity or permission, or I've misinterpreted what I need, what action and inspiration is. And, maybe I need to make a grand gesture and don't know the power of habit. Maybe start writing your book. I am hereby bestowing upon you the permission that you don't need, but I'm giving it to you anyway, to start writing the book that matters to you. And I was going to go through a load of tools and prompts, but I'm not going to now because we've run out of time.
Some other time. And actually, that's going to be next week's... Look, coming up next week, let's talk about tools. Writing, productivity, and other good stuff. Easy
peasy. So what's the takeaway, Joe?
Time's not the problem. You might use the word, you might use that phrase to kind of encapsulate in short form what the problem you think is-ish. And it's an easy thing to explain to people. But time is not the problem. There are many other ththings that are the problem. And at least be honest with yourself.
Yeah. And, if you really don't want to write a book, that's fine.
Totally cool.
That's totally cool. You don't have to. But if you really want to, it's worth digging a little bit deeper than I don't have time, because there's always another reason.
Yeah.
And author shout out this week, which you would have thought I would have had ready already, but clearly I did not.
Checks notes.
Is The Later Living Guide by Teresa Payne.
Hi, Teresa.
Hi, Teresa. And Teresa is a client of mine, and together we wrote The Later Living Guide, Plan Today, Own Your Tomorrow, and Age Happy. Because most of us do not make enough good plans for when we get old. And we leave it up to fate, and then we make decisions in a panic, and we don't make good decisions, because nobody makes good decisions in a panic. Mm-hmm. And yeah, wouldn't it be, it's like, oh, I'm going to work for like 50 years, and then I'm going to retire and be happy. What kind of manner of bullshit is that? Yeah. Like, if you are going to retire, let's make sure that you have you could be retired for 30 years. You need to make sure you've got enough money and a plan.
Yes, you're not just going to fall off the edge of employment and then what?
Most people spend more time planning every holiday than they do planning like the last 40 years of their life. How? That's insane when you think about it.
Crazy.
It is crazy. So yeah, this is a really good book, available on Amazon, and from Teresa's website, which is perfectcresswell.com, I think.
But we're all going to get old one day. We need to sort out some plan.
Hopefully we're all going to get old one day.
But have a plan.
And coming up next week, we're going to be talking about tools, writing tools, productivity tools, other good stuff.
Hopefully the notes won't be down there. They'll be over there.
Yes, they will. I'm probably going to be wearing my beautiful new jacket again, courtesy of Eclectica of Ludlow. Thanks, Jodie, who is my stylist. I love it. It's by Desigual, and I feel like I'm wearing designer clothes, which technically I am. But it's gorgeous, isn't it, Joe?
It is. Very gorgeous.
I don't know if I will have by the time this goes out. Maybe, you'll have to try. I have 3 spots open for my 6-month creative book coaching program. I'm only running this once this year. So if you want to write your book and you want my help, you can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/creative-book-coaching. Shut up. And you can apply there. There's an application form.
Cool.
Come and write your book. Let me help you. And if you don't want to do the 6-month coaching program and you would like my help, but that's not for you, then you can go to moxiebooks.co.uk/borrowmybrain, and there are 3 other options for you there.
Cool.
Yeah. We'll be back same time next week. But before that, if you've listened to every episode, email me and I will send you a silly gift. And if you've enjoyed this episode,
tell your friends, subscribe, share it.
Rate and
review, 5 stars.
Thanks. Thank you for listening. People. As always, we really appreciate it. And thank you to the people who tell me that they're listening as well, because that makes me very happy, because then I think we're not just shouting into the void.
Which sometimes it feels like we are.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're enjoying this podcast, tell us.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah, we'd love that. If you leave us a review, we'll read it out. I am going to slow down.
Slow down with the words.
Right,
we're out of time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. You can find links and show notes on the website at moxiebooks.co.uk/podcast, where you can also sign up for the best daily emails in the multiverse and find loads of free resources to help you write your book. We'll be back the same time next week with more tales from the book writing trenches and the latest on what the tiny sheeps have been up to.